On behalf of the Linn-Mar Community School District Board of Directors, I welcome everyone here this evening. I'd like now to ask John to determine a quorum.
Director Buchholz?
Here.
Director Foss?
Here.
Director Langston?
Here.
Director Mansour?
Here.
Director Maury? Director Thomas?
Here.
President Lau Lancaster?
I'm here as well. Thank you very much. To keep the meeting moving tonight, I will read each agenda item number and then ask for a report or a motion. Let's try this out. This is item number 200, our adoption of agenda. May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Laura and a second by Barry. Is there any questions, discussion?
I see that on agenda item 501 that there's handwritten exhibit 501.1. Is that, do we need to make any amendments to be able to include that?
No, we're fine.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your question. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please say yes.
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 Any opposed? The motion is carried. Item number 300, best part of the evening, district highlight moment. I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Gustafson from the Linn-Mar High School. He is our principal and beloved by my family. There, I put it in there anyway, Jeff.
No. So we're taking a moment this evening to honor, in an informal but hopefully meaningful manner, 12 students, all seniors, who have earned honors based on their performance in the National Merit Scholarship Competition. We feel it is appropriate to present these students to the board tonight and to congratulate them on their accomplishment. 4 students have received letters of commendation from the National Merit Program. This means that they performed in the top 5% of the more than 1.6 million students who took the qualifying exam. And I'm going to read the students' names, and if you're here, step out. We've got one that's working, and I think we've got a couple that are not here as well. But Shrisantosh Balasubramanian, Johan Joseph, Rishikesh Kandibioina, and Annabelle Machek. 8 students have been named National Merit semifinalists. They are in the top 1% of the 1.6 million students who took the qualifying exam, and they are now eligible to be National Merit finalists. These students are Alex Chavez, Catherine Delsing, Joshua Knapp, Nihal Couture, Srinath Naveen, Eric Wynn, Priyanka Anturu, Michael Warden. On behalf of our Linn-Mar High School faculty, staff, and administration, we congratulate all of you on your accomplishment and let you know that we are proud of your performance. May you continue to use your talents to strive for and do great things. And I ask everyone here this evening to please join me in congratulating our National Merit honorees.
I can just keep it, Barry. Thank you.
Again, thank you so much, and we are so proud of you and get to call you Linn-Mar's very best. So thank you very much. You are, we're going to continue with our meeting. I'm just letting you know it's been maybe a day for some of you, and you may, giving you permission to leave the class. How's that? All right, we're going to continue with item 400, audience communication. We did not have anyone signed in tonight to speak, so that item is, we're going to continue on with item number 5 in our 500 series, our informal reports. At this time, we have item number 501, our audit report for fiscal year 2025. I'm going to ask Mia to come forward. Is that correct? She's online. All right.
Yes. Hello. It's a pleasure to present to you tonight. I have had the opportunity to meet with the Finance Committee in December, and we went through the details of the audit and the audit results at that meeting. So tonight I just have some summary comments for you. The first slide talks about the audits that we performed and the audits, what the deliverables as part of those audits. And so we performed a financial statement audit, which is an opinion will be issued over all the financial transactions of the district for fiscal year 2025. We also performed a government auditing standards audit, which is an audit that includes an understanding of internal controls over transactions, as well as compliance with laws and regulations. And we performed a federal single audit, which is an audit over the significant federal grants of the district. And the district expended $3.4 million in federal grants for fiscal year 2025. The deliverables from those three audits are an annual comprehensive financial report. That's the large bound document that includes all the financial statements of the district. It also includes an introductory section that highlights in the transmittal letter and the management's discussion and analysis some summary highlights of the fiscal year, and includes a statistical section with really great 10-year statistical information for your review. In addition, we issued 2 letters, a board communication letter that includes management's representations to us as the auditor, as well as some summary comments regarding the audit, and includes a list of estimates in the financial statements. And then a control deficiency letter. That letter is comments and suggestions. It provides a summary of some deficiencies we identified that did not rise to a finding level, but we still thought should be brought to your attention. So on the next slide is the audit results, if you will. For the financial statement audit, we have the unmodified opinion over the financial statements, a clean opinion, the highest level of an auditor opinion that you can receive. Included in that opinion is a paragraph that talks about a new accounting standard that was required for fiscal year 2025. There was new accounting required for how compensated absences such as vacation and sick leave are recorded by a district. So we are pointing that out in the report. In the government auditing standards audit, there were no compliance findings. There were no material weaknesses in internal controls. We did identify one significant deficiency regarding reconciling the nutrition fund point of sale system. And then there's a part 4 section that the state auditor requires. And there were a couple items pertaining to certified enrollment and supplementary weighting that we are required to report, but they were not material items. And then for the single audit, which is the audit of the federal grants, this year we tested the child nutrition program. Its expenditures are $1.5 million, so a significant portion of your federal grants. And we have an unmodified opinion to report on the compliance of that program and no findings to report on that program. Overall, very good results for the fiscal year. I'm happy to take any questions.
At this time, does anyone have questions? If not, I want to thank you for your due diligence on our finances. John, do you have anything else to add?
No, so I'll, finance audit members got our entire booklet, and I will bring the rest of those to you guys here before you leave today. So it's some light reading if you are interested.
There you go. Is it an inch, half inch? How big? Yeah,
Yeah,
there you go.
it's big enough.
I was thinking that. All right, I saw it next to me and I looked away. Look away.
Hey, Jonathan, the significant deficiency here that the audit recognized, is that something that you're going to address later or that you're addressing with the Finance Committee? Just trying to make sure I know
Yep.
where that's being worked
Yeah,
out.
yeah, we can discuss that more at the Finance Committee. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Mia, thank you. Appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you, and thank you for the chance to serve the board. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mia.
All right, at this time, we'll move on to item number 502, our superintendent search report. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having us tonight. And we have some pretty good news with our survey. I think you have a report in front of you. Done. Thank you so much. Well, welcome again. So usually we have about 10 days for the survey. We ended up with 12 days, and I'm glad we did. The last 2 days we gained 141 responses. So I'll go through a little bit on the responses. And so we had 764 total. Students filled out 49 of the surveys for 6.4%. Support staff was 55 people, and they were 7.2%. Teachers were very good at filling it out. They were 164 teachers for 21.5% of the total. Administrators, there was 23, so that was a good number also at 3% of the total amount. Parent and guardians really stepped up, so you did a great job of getting that information out there. There was 356 parents and guardians that filled it out for 46.6%. School board members, we had 5 for 0.7%, and community members, we had 112 community members, which was really nice, at 14.7%. We also asked some questions about the current strengths of the district, and there was some really nice comments about the district. And as you know, you're doing great things here. We had high-quality, caring teachers and staff. Strong academics, that came up quite a bit. We had extracurricular opportunities for students, facilities and resources were on the list, and inclusive student-centered culture. There were obviously many, many more of the comments than what we included in our report, but the strong staff and the best teachers came out quite a bit. The academic rigor was big, and that is really big. As I checked, because as I check on school districts, I looked up your ACT scores, and you folks have 5-year running about 24 on an ACT. That may, it's like 3 over the state average, but that is very, very good. So that's another good thing about the district. Funding the fine arts and creative extracurriculars. That gets harder and harder as our money gets tighter and tighter. So that was a compliment. And then just a welcoming all the culture that you've built here has been really good. So that was really nice. We also look at the current challenges of the district. And to summarize those, the compensation and support for teachers and staff. Again, I just mentioned the lack of funding that we're receiving here lately makes it very difficult. Communication and transparency was something that was brought up. Student behaviors and mental health. That seems to be a trend nationwide and statewide. Facility and class sizes were some of the concerns, and curriculum alignment. The other things that we talked about was the desired characteristics or qualifications of your next superintendent. Amy's done a great job here, and we want to bring in as a person that will do just as well as she has. So there were 10 of those, and I'm going to I'll just summarize the 10, and they are in ascending order of the ones that were mentioned the most. Foster a positive culture and climate was number 1. Second on the list was demonstrate ethics, integrity, and transparency, which is very important because the community needs to trust school boards. Effective manages district resources. That gets tighter and tighter, and a compliment to John there. Is approachable, accessible, and welcoming. You also recruit, hires, and develops and retains effective staff members. Another one was promoting community of care and support for students. Very, very, very important. Hold self and others accountable. That was, I think, a really good one. Advocate for public schools. And, well, two more. Meaningful engages with families in the community. Good compliment there. And demonstrates collaborative leadership. This was, I thought, very good skills that we'll be looking for as we look at candidates and as we get applications in. And we will use these during the search, and we kind of use these in analyzing who is best for the fit here. We'll give you candidates in three different categories, ones that we think that you should interview, ones that we think that, well, we know are certified and are candidates, they just don't rise to that top level, and then we'll have candidates that we will not recommend for interviews. Examples of that might be they don't even have their superintendent's licensure yet, or they have had tough times, maybe a couple of school districts and let go. Those are the kinds of folks that we just will recommend that you not consider. Advice for the next superintendent. There was a lot of comments there on that next page. I'll just kind of summarize some of those real quick. Be in our schools was be a part of the community. Listen to the community and the staff. Willing to work with all members of the community. Be transparent. Take it slow, learn, and then you can drive change. Consider how the district can be competitive. Learn about and honor the history of the district. Meet as many people as you can, and prioritize our people. So some really good comments, I thought. Incredible things are happening in the district. That was another one. Please make sure that everybody knows them. So that's kind of the report. If you have any questions about that report, I'll take those right now, and then I've got a couple other things that I want to just review so that we're on the same page. Questions about the survey?
Anyone have any questions?
I guess a quick one would just be, you've done surveys, you've done searches for a number of districts. Was there anything notable or distinguishing that you saw in these survey results that was different than others?
Well, I think that the academic rigor definitely jumped out for me, and that's why I mentioned I had done my research before, and so that was one that really jumped out. You have a lot of, when you're this large, two things can happen. You can have lots of opportunities, or things can just kind of get out of control. And you have done a great job of trying to, kids need options when they're trying to figure out what they want to do. And so that really jumped out. That was probably the biggest one for me. Another one probably was the inclusive and student-centered culture. That was a great compliment. I mean, we're here because of kids. And when when your community notices that and says, hey, that's one of your strengths, that's really, really nice. And then, and it's not always this way, but a lot of times, but you had a lot of people that felt that you had high-quality teachers and administrators, and that's a huge compliment. Yep.
I think we have all of our questions answered for
Okay.
right now, and thank you for this
The other-
material. You have more comments.
Yeah, a couple little things just real quick. I just wanted to validate that the dates we set are correct. February 9th, the candidates review, so we will bring all the candidates to you in those three different categories. No, that's wrong.
We have, I communicated with Trent, we have moved that to February 13th to give you more time. We just felt that we just didn't give you the time to do the professional work you needed to do. So we have moved that to the 13th.
I appreciate
I believe
that.
it's at 10 o'clock, and I'm thankful for everybody who's made that accommodation.
I'll talk to Trent. February 17th, the semifinalist screening. All right, great. And March 2nd for the formal interviews. And for those formal interviews, we started so we just took when Amy was hired, we just took that schedule where the candidates would start at 8:15. They're going to do tours, and they'll be with the two different mixed groups that will be representative of all the different people that I just talked about in the report. And then the board would start at 2 o'clock with those candidates. You go about 90 minutes with each candidate, and then a closed session at 6 o'clock to review what happened that day. Correct? Okay, well, I learned something on February 13th. I'm going to plug it in my calendar right away.
We gave you more time for your homework. Come on, we are accommodating here.
Okay. The other thing that happens with this strengths is that the preferred qualifications for the job posting is really important, and we came to that. And thanks to Gayla, I know it just closed last night, that survey. Thanks to her, she pulled it together today and got it typed up. So if you don't have any other questions, that's my report.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much. That's that all?
All right. We are now to item number 503, our Linn-Mar High School Program of Studies. I invite now Dr. Lang and Dr. Gustafson, please, to come forward.
Good evening, everyone. It's good to see you all. Tim teed us up really, really well, talking about the strength of our academics. We're here tonight to share with you some broad overviews of some changes, actually all the changes that are there for our high school. Basically, some highlights to note in your packet, particularly around the new courses. You'll see a number of new math courses being offered, and then an addition of Advanced Algebra 1, which would be typically a freshman course or for us as another entry pathway to Algebra 1. AP Pre-Calculus, and then a couple of KCC classes for Kirkwood, Exploring Math and the Trades, which we're really excited about. That's just actually a course that's been developed by a Drake professor. That's not a KCC course, but that's one we're going to take on through some training. And that's a year-long course for seniors that we'll offer next year. An additional college-level math course that's not a KCC course or an advanced placement course is the Foundations of College Math. And then we have two new art courses we're super excited about, adding to the digital side of our visual arts. And that would be the beginning animation and the digital drawing and illustration. Chris Till just does a wonderful job with the development of those. And then you'll see our three new additions of science courses. So a parallel pathway for our science students, a real restructuring of those. We have biology, chemistry, and physics sort of as the track. And now we have advanced biology, advanced chemistry, and advanced physics. And so that will become sort of a parallel nature in all four core areas: math, social studies, science, and English as well. We've reactivated a couple courses to see if they catch on again: geology and meteorology. We had astronomy this year, and that made it as well. So we'll see if those electives are popular with our students. We did have to deactivate and drop a few courses just due to lack of interest. And just FTE of the instructors that are eligible to teach those. Also, and we'll cover this on the next slide, the dropping of pre-algebra and Algebra 1A, they'll be accomplished through all students taking algebra or advanced algebra, and actually give us a little better opportunity to cover the new math standards that were passed in 2024 at the state level. We have a couple formatting changes, nothing real major there. Our advanced art students, there was a recommendation to go just from a quarter to a full semester. Gives our students opportunity to prepare for some different shows, which is awesome as a capstone experience for our art students. And then our venture project, Lead the Way Biomedical, which is very, very popular. We tried it in a regular block for a whole year, but really to match the venture schedule, we're going to go back to a 3-hour block. Allows them to have a lot better opportunities to do some community connections and partnerships with medical centers in the community, just at time to be able to do that. A few renaming of courses, which are just brief changes. Some availability and prerequisite changes predominantly in music and fine arts through some different audition processes. I do want to point out that principles of ag science, both plant and animal, we're going to extend to freshmen now in the fall, just to give them a little more elective opportunities in ag. because Mr. Mays has done a wonderful job drawing in students to those CTE programs. And one other additional updated sections to our program of studies. We have really expanded, as some of you may know, our additions of industry-recognized credentials in the high school. We had over 60 students actually earn an industry-recognized credential already this fall, and we expect well over 200 by the end of the school year. And so we have those all put in a table at the beginning so students can see which courses they're associated with. We picked up a few new Career Academy offerings that Kirkwood's going to offer next year, like exercise science, which is really neat, as an opportunity. And then we did make note that in the program of studies, the state law is now requiring a civics exam to graduate high school. That'll be starting next year. We don't know where that'll be delivered yet. We haven't actually seen the exam, so that's just a caveat to make sure that students know that as they start next year, they will have to complete that assessment, which will be designed by the Iowa Department of Ed. So when we get a chance to see that, that pilot I think is wrapping up, so we'll have an opportunity to see that and think about where we'll deploy that assessment, whether U.S. history or government class or something like that. Anything to add to that, Jeff, that I missed?
No, what questions would you guys have?
I have a question. So you added advanced biology, advanced chemistry, and advanced physics.
That's right.
What's the difference between that and advanced placement, so the AP? Is there a
Great question.
difference? Or?
Yes, there is a difference. So AP courses in the name, advanced placement, is going to be certified course and training through the College Board. So all of those courses have an opportunity to take a national normed assessment for an opportunity to get a 5.4321 score and take that on for, depending on what university they choose to attend, for potential college credit. Our in-house advanced courses are not affiliated with the AP. They do designate for our students and our families the opportunity to go a little more independent, a little more in-depth, and at maybe perhaps a little more rigorous and fast-paced. So you'll see that designation becoming more streamlined throughout our program of studies in each of the core areas to help our families and our students understand the delineation of the pace.
So the follow-on question is it going to be like a 5 points like the AP is, or is it still going to be a 4 points like
Yes,
the regular?
all the advanced courses and the core courses will be on our traditional Linn-Mar grading scale, the 4-point scale.
Okay, then just to add to that, and this is my naivety a bit, all of these are taught by our instructors, not Kirkwood instructors, correct?
Everything listed in this revisions, all of these are taught by Linn-Mar High School faculty.
Wow, that's impressive.
It is very impressive. So a lot of that requires keeping, for example, if it is a Kirkwood course and we're teaching it in-house, they're doing double bookkeeping. So they're doing the Kirkwood required, which is called Talon software for grading and so forth, and as well as ours for that concurrent piece.
Well, the reason I ask, and once again I'm impressed and completely, is I have a granddaughter that's taking classes from Ankeny at DMAC, and she said, oh, absolutely, we do not have the instructors to do that. We have to do that through DMAC. So, so I appreciate the clarification. Thank you.
Yes, for sure. Any other questions?
I'm curious, the exploring math in the trades, you said that was developed by a professor at Drake.
Yes.
Has he talked to the trades? Does this align with what their expectations are for kids coming into an apprenticeship program?
Yes, and I think it was developed actually 2 summers ago, and some Iowa schools were able to pick it up and offer it this year. I think it was developed through a grant opportunity in conjunction with some trade organizations. Jessica Johnson's one of our department chairs. She's actually opting to teach it next year, so that's been really exciting. They'll share all the resources developed with the grant with our teachers. They attend, I think, like a 1-day training in the summer, and so we're excited to see if there's interest for that in that offering.
Okay. Thank you.
Justin, do you have a question?
Yeah, I hate to pull out the back in my day, but I'm going to do that because it's going to help me understand.
Sure.
I appreciate the explanation on the difference between the advanced and the AP.
Indeed.
In my context is that if you wanted to take the advanced class, you just took the AP class and chose to take the test or not. Is there a reason that what's the reason that we've got is this going to be overlap? Are we going to also offer AP and
Yes.
the advanced?
Yes.
Is there, I'm curious on the reason for that overlap.
Sure. Well, one, it allows, the AP courses allow for more expertise and specialty towards engineering or a STEM field in which the advanced courses are your core courses required to graduate. And so they are covering the national NGSS standards or the Iowa standards, whereas the AP is a national assessment. And you localize the curriculum, but you're pretty much tied to their delineation on, they approve your syllabus.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. I really appreciate that. Follow-up question then. I love to see the extra STEM opportunities here at the school. I know we're really strong in that. And are there additional investments needed for these classes? And if there are, please make sure that that's being brought to the board here.
Sure.
You know, we talk about the investments that we're making for all the other extracurriculars, and I want to make sure that we're, you know, providing the investments that we need for the STEM activities too.
Yeah,
So,
no, that's a great piece. You know, one of the things that we're really excited about with biology, chemistry, and physics, and advanced biology, chemistry, and physics is they'll all be using the same resources through Open SciEd, which is wildly popular in the last year or so. There's been a great support from the Iowa Department of Education, and it's an open resource. So there's very little costing outside the materials. A lot of hands-on, a lot of modeling, a lot of trial and error. That's probably different than maybe, like you said, when we went to school in a high school science course. So you'll notice that there's no earth science anymore. That's fully integrated into those 3 courses. So currently, most of our freshmen take earth science as a course. Those standards will be integrated throughout that sequence of 3, regardless of which course you take. Additionally, if you start out in biology and things are going super well for you, you can shift over the next year to the advanced chemistry, and then maybe back to physics if you, I went too far, or vice versa. And so we have that flexibility because we're covering all of the required standards in the Iowa core, either way.
Last piece I would just answer with your question, Justin, is if you're talking larger items, obviously those can be, you know, things that we would need, but we use 90-some% of our budget for our building goes to our departments.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're in science, they have a considerable budget that they can use to spend on all the materials, the things that they need. And we've tried to keep it that way. You know, if there's ever a big thing, we always want to be careful on that because sometimes that big thing costs us a lot of money and then 3 years later it's out of date and we've got to replace that somehow. So, you know, I think just having the building budgets get back to where they had been after the last 3 years was a huge thing for us because that really did strap some of our departments when it came to spending on whatever types of materials that they needed, especially in the DEM area.
that's wonderful context, guys. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
We did include in the artifacts the visual. Each of our core areas has a flow so that our students, as they're being advised, can kind of think about their flow. And we made sure that the new math page landed in front of your eyes. We'll be grandfathering out Algebra 1B because we have students who took 1A this year and they'll need 1B. And you'll see that basically our onboarding track to the high school will be Algebra 1 or Advanced Algebra 1. Just like in English, it's English 1 or Advanced English 1. In science, it's biology or advanced biology. And in social studies, it's U.S. history or advanced U.S. history. So there'll be a really parallel structure in every core area for our families to keep the communication consistent and advisement consistent. It also gives us an opportunity to make sure we're fully covered in the Iowa core standards that were revised in 2024. And so you will see that we'll have a development of a parallel track through our curriculum process in the next 2 years to build out advanced geometry and advanced algebra 2 in time for all those students to make sure they have those opportunities.
As a parent who got the email saying, get ready for your kid to go to high school next year, this is both very exciting and anxiety producing, but mostly exciting to see the math, that you put the math one in front of us, as that child he's gonna check all those boxes.
Sure,
but he's very excited about those opportunities. I digress. That was a side note.
That's okay.
My question, and feel free to call germaneness, but so as I'm looking at everything, I'm loving everything I'm seeing, but then I'm like, wait, there's been so much like AI, computer science related developments, and assuming those are kind of getting folded into not just computer science classes, but all classes. And I didn't know if you could speak a little bit to, and maybe it's these classes too, right? Like, and I know this is kind of an ongoing thing, but like, has that affected what offerings or what we've been able to offer?
I have not seen it affect
Okay.
our program of studies offerings or our course design and development. Certainly, there's curriculum developers in the CTE world considering, what do we offer? I would say probably if you think about trends, really more around math and going towards some data analytics and data science. You're seeing that a lot, primarily like at Kirkwood has shared that information with us, wildly popular. There's a little bit of ground settling underneath feet of curriculum to see where AI goes. But I don't think that's affected us in this process.
Yeah, or I didn't know if there'd, someday be a writing, not writing AI prompts, but
Right.
just thinking some of those. But
Sure.
but no, this is all. The academic rigor, as was said earlier, is very evident.
Yeah, it's a wonderful balance and complement of diversity of offerings for any high school, much less an Iowa high school. And keep in mind, we're standards driven and standards based, so we want to make sure we develop all our courses in alignment with national and state standards. So there aren't any national state standards really on artificial intelligence yet. When there are, we'll address those for sure.
So I have a question, and I'm going to apologize ahead of my question because I read everything, and then I went to Day on the Hill today, and my brain is like, there's just a lot floating around up there right now. In years past, the science version of this, and I don't remember if that's the next slide or not.
No.
We had 4 science categories
Yes.
that you had to take one science in each of the categories.
You no longer
Earth
have to.
science was one of those categories, if I remember correctly. Can you just talk about how that's evolving?
Yeah, so that we no longer have the categories in which you have to select from. All the advanced courses that were already in all those categories still exist in the current program of studies. As the NGSS, which is really the national science standards, have evolved, K-12, they're very integrated. And so they don't really follow a linear content path. They're more fully integrated, a lot in application, a lot in modeling. And it's really amazing if you look at it, K-5, when you've studied, that application. So that really is not unique to us. A number of schools, urban schools and Iowa schools have really taken this on to find a better way to get hands-on with science right away. A lot of times hands-on was relegated to chemistry and physics. And so either physical science or earth science was sort of that gateway. And oftentimes you come out of middle school with some hands-on science, and then all of a sudden you jump right into an earth science class, which has less applicability sometimes to some of the lab and hands-on, and creating models, which a lot of the standards require them to do. So that integration allows us to use earth examples and combine them with physical movement, all those segments of the conceptual underpinnings of the NGSS standard. So it creates more of a linear track too for us to be able to maximize staffing. I mean, Jeff can tell you and show, we have more students taking science than we have students. So that means there's a lot of people doubling up, and so to be able to offer all those. Also, just for advisement, what a wonderful opportunity to get streamlined from one year to the next. Just making sure you have the same amount of sections or being consistent is so much easier for advisement and students that move in and so forth, making sure we have the appropriate sections. And then the other thing I've noticed this year being new is just students that move in from other communities, or if their scope and sequence of where they're moving in from, that they're really behind the 8 ball here or really anywhere to take classes with non-age-like peers. And this will help streamline that because I think more of the state's going to this, state schools I should say, in Iowa.
That's great. I think this is I can't wait to see the new little chart because in my day life, it's career and college planning, and so I get a lot of questions about, there's these 4 categories of science, in which order, and what's best for college, and what are they looking for, and to have what you're saying is a more streamlined process that maybe is less confusing to people who look at that chart, I think that's great. So I was just curious, though, how that was.
That full PDF artifact, we'll have that on the science page, so if you want to check that out.
Well, like I said, I looked through it all, and I just can't remember it all at this moment. But when I saw Earth Science coming out, I was like, but that's a whole category. I need to ask about that. So thank you.
The class of 2030 will have the new linear pathways of the advanced. And then everybody else will be grandfathered in, 29, 28, and 27. Does that sound weird to say, I suppose? And
No,
here.
my son is 2031, so you're just making me feel all great things over here about that.
Any other questions about the program of studies?
I can give Chad a huge kudos for just coming in and learning about this, learning about all the departments, and then being able to put all of this together. It's been quite an undertaking, so.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
And we're sending it out tomorrow.
Yes.
So you'll hear,
Good and bad?
students will get it as well.
Call me or if you need help.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, at this time, we're going to move on to item number 504, our policy committee report.
I'll be giving that this evening. So the policy committee reviewed recommendations from the IASB September primer, and we also reviewed the 300 series of policies. That was just our regularly scheduled review, and those cover administration. So policies with any suggested revisions are going to be coming for a first reading later on the agenda, and happy to talk through any specific questions related to those items then. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Laura. We're going to move on to item 505, our finance audit committee report.
I have to talk it later, so you keep going.
Okay, cool. We're just gonna, you said your brain was fried, so. Same. The next two agenda items are me. Cool. You know, we had a very good finance meeting, and just, I personally would like to compliment Jonathan. I'd like to compliment all of the CFOs that we've had in our organization, because needless to say, we're all in the news. There's a lot of finances in the news. The state is not funding as much as we'd like, and we're kind of getting used to that. But what Jonathan did for us was projecting forward whether we get 1% or 2% or 3%, whatever we get in our budget, kind of what it was going to look like, to see how healthy we are, to see where we're going to go. And that's what I want to see. And that's what once again, I've seen this for 20 years personally. And it's just healthy, because we don't want surprises. We don't want anybody coming in. We don't want numbers changing, et cetera. So all of those things put together, it all hinges around students and hinges around what the state is going to give us for dollars. There are some changes coming out in the legislature coming forward, and I'm sure Britt will touch on some of those. But they're talking about saved dollars and how that's going to affect us as well. So really, all that we mainly talked about, and Mia, the auditor, shared with where we're at. There aren't any surprises. We're very, very healthy. And what's it going to look like moving forward as we project? And those things will take care of itself, in my opinion. But with that said, we'll be talking budgets more and more moving forward.
Anybody else from the committee? Thank you, Barry, for that report. We're going to move on then to item number 506, our Marion City Council report.
There were two single-family plats that were approved for development. One near Licour Road, which would feed into Boulder Peak and Indian Creek, I believe, and then one between 10th Street and Cimarron, which would be out by Lau Park, and that would feed into most likely Echo Hill and Oak Ridge and Hazel Point. So those developments are coming our way.
That's actually Novak.
Novak.
Yes, they go down 10th Street and they will be at Novak.
Well, someday when there's a road that goes through, maybe they'll go to Echo Hill.
Anyone else? All right, thank you very much for that report. We have item 507, legislative report.
Well, I just wanted to begin by thanking Directors Maury and Mansour, who were able to go to Des Moines to attend the Iowa School Board Day on the Hill. I had hoped to attend, but life commitments made it so that wasn't in the cards today, such as life. But thanks to them for making that trip and back. And we appreciate that they could be present here. But really, that is all that I'm going to share, because I'm going to hand it over to Director Maury to give highlights from both the legislative update, and I'm sure Director Mansour will have some things to share. Nope. Okay. Then I'll hand it over. She's a very good note taker.
So I'm going to pass down the priority sheet that Renee made for us to take today in case you guys want a copy of that. So yes, today was a whirlwind. My brain isn't fried. It's just very chock full of information, and it all is trying to settle down. So we were able to meet with 7 of our 9 representatives today. We were able to meet with Representative Jardy, Senator Donahue, Senator Stade, Representative Ramirez. Who else do we meet with?
Golding.
Yes, and Representative Golding. And then we had great text exchanges with Representative Wilson, who got pulled into a budget meeting, and Senator Bennett and McClintock. So all in all, really good conversations today. What I will summarize with in your handout is every education bill that has been put forth so far this season, but I'm not going to go through all of them. It was shared today that last year there were more bills introduced than in any previous session ever at one time, and we're on track to have even more than that this year. So they're busy. Is that education or all bills? They just said all bills. So. But they said it's important to remember that about 7 to 10% of all bills actually get passed. So we're 3 weeks in, there's a lot being proposed, and a lot of it won't look like what it looks like today. So SSA is something we always want to talk about. So Governor Reynolds did not propose anything in her condition of the state, but when she put out her budget, it called for a 2% increase in SSA for growth. With at 2%, that would put 199 school districts in the state of Iowa on what is called a budget guarantee, meaning they're receiving less funds than they did for the current year. That's not us. But at 2%, she proposed to fill the gap for the schools that would be on budget guarantee. So that is part of her proposal. The House and the Senate have not yet proposed anything for SSA, which there was some concern about that today from multiple fronts, that no one's really talking about SSA yet in the House or the Senate. But what we were told from the lobbyists from ISB and SAI and the AEAs, and then that was reiterated when we met with representatives, is that the governor comes in at 2, the Senate, the House will usually come in above the governor. There's been talk of a 3%. But the Senate usually comes in below, and right now they are saying we should plan for a 0 to 1% SSA. So, not ideal, but that's where we're at with SSA, and we hope that some bills will come out that will give some more clarification to what that looks like.
So let's just, if we are at 1%, we will be at budget guarantee.
Yes, if it's a 1% SSA, then Linn-Mar is on a budget guarantee. If it's a 1% SSA, every single district in Iowa, there's 55 districts that would not be on a budget guarantee at 1%. So, question?
That would just be disastrous for our neighbors. Like we could survive that, not without some pain, but I can only imagine that would be disastrous for our neighbors. And wow, okay.
Yes. So that's kind of the SSA conversation. Hopefully we get some more clarification by some proposals being put forth. The other kind of big conversation, and what's taking up a lot of time right now, is property tax reform. And so I'm going to say some things, but what I want to preface what I'm saying is there are 3 current proposals for property taxes, one from the governor, one from the Senate, and one from the House. They're nothing alike, so no one of these will be what happens. It will be some sort of something, but they're very different. But what's good to talk about, and what we did talk about today, was Barry made reference to some changes to SAVE and PEPL that have been proposed as part of property tax relief. The governor's proposal is to take 30% of SAVE dollars, which is the, John, help me out with the acronym, Secure and Advanced Vision for Education.
Yep.
Thank you. So it's the sales tax that was put into place specifically so that districts could plan for maintenance and infrastructure projects. The only thing you can spend SAVE on, as we know, is facilities, infrastructure, things like that. Can't go into the general fund. And technology. So right now, the governor's proposal is to take 30% of SAVE revenue and take it away from the schools and put it towards property tax relief. What that does for Linn-Mar over the next 10 years is we lose $18 million in SAVE funds.
And what's interesting about that, Brett, sorry to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
Is as a consumer, as a taxpayer, we voted for that sales tax. We voted for that 1 cent sales tax. So those are saved dollars. Those are dollars that we proposed for those 3 items, and now they're trying to take it away from us, just to tell you that. So.
Well, and what's the beauty of the SAVE tax and the legislation around it is that it's approved through a certain date so that we know this funding is guaranteed through this day, and you can plan. That's how we do a 10-year facilities plan, is that we know that the funds specifically for buildings and maintenance come in at this levy rate for this many years, and we can plan, and John has a beautiful spreadsheet that helps us do that. If the next day or the next session they take 30% of that away, then your spreadsheet is now broken. You have to recalibrate, and you have to say, okay, what can we actually do? So losing $18 million over 10 years is concerning. We didn't project it out beyond the 10 years. We can, but we haven't done that yet because SAVE is approved through 2049. So that's one proposal. The Senate's proposal would require a 60% majority vote every time we wanted to bond using SAVE dollars. So if you think about a multi-year construction project, we would have to go to voters to get approval, wouldn't change tax rates, but approval to use the SAVE funds that are allocated to our district based on enrollment. And if it's a 2 or 3 year project, the next year, because we only bond a fiscal year at a time, we'd have to go back and ask them for the second. But if they don't understand and they don't approve the second year, then we have a hole in the ground and we can't fill it. So going to a majority vote every year for SAVE bonds could be detrimental. The House proposal has nothing really to do with SAVE, but they want to change the PEPL levy rate and cut that funding in half as well. So just lots of ideas floating out there that we need to be aware of those conversations and provide feedback as much as we can.
Britt, thank you for going, and thank you as well for going, Medhep. In your discussions today, did any of the legislators talk about if, the value of feedback from a school board member versus a general member of the public that lives in their district?
So they always want to hear stories. That was a big thing that we heard today. And then another key factor was, what is the impact of these things on students? We've heard this for a few years, but SSA, for example, there are certain districts in the state where teachers are the highest paid person in the community. So for those representatives, the last thing they want to hear is, we need this to raise teacher salaries. What they want to hear is, what is the impact on student achievement? So if you look at it as, if we don't have significant SSA to cover our funds, we have to cut positions, which increases class sizes, which lowers the amount of one-on-one attention a student can get, and that can impact student achievement. So they said that they want to hear stories of how things impact students, student achievement, and absolutely family. Like, it's great that we go as school board members, as administrators. It's good that we go because we're the ones sitting in finance audit, we're the ones having these conversations, but hearing from the community members, hearing how families are impacted is always going to be the strongest story. Because it's also important, as Barry referenced, we voted for, the taxpayers voted on how, like, we have expectations of we pay property taxes because we want quality schools and we want to call 911 and have the firemen show up when they're supposed to. And like, we expect some services from our property taxes. And if those aren't able to happen, like, our community members are highly valued storytellers, so.
That's wonderful, thanks. I just remember hearing from so many folks over the last couple of years asking, as a school board member, will you advocate for public schools? And I always say, yes, I will, but it feels like they ask me that as in like they're delegating, oh, well, if you will, then I don't need to.
Everybody needs to.
And yeah, exactly.
It
Thank you.
needs to be, it's a team sport. Advocacy is a team sport. One person shouting is never as strong as a community coming together and saying, this is what we want our community to be, this is how we want our tax dollars spent, this is what's important to us, this is what we value. I'm going to wrap up real quick because that's a lot, but some other just high-level things that are kind of hanging out there that we need to watch that were talked about today. There's another bill for start date. They said don't expect anything to happen, but it is out there. This one provides more flexibility than the 4 that were promoted last year. This would be the first Monday after the state fair. So you can imagine how that was lobbied for and against in subcommittee this week, or last week. The other bill, it's a House study bill that is based on the pre-filed bill from the Department of Education that we shared at the last board meeting. The idea is to streamline the talented and gifted and advanced math programs, but what it does is standardize the process for identifying students and then requiring students to advance students no matter what the circumstance. Parents can always opt out, but one size fits all for one size fits all for talented and gifted and advanced math doesn't really work. That's a big local control concern. And just to put context briefly, our district, we just had a great presentation about how we're adapting our curriculum to provide advanced math opportunities and different pathways. We have enough students that qualify and that need that, but think about a rural district that has 20 graduating seniors. They may have 1 student that's talented and gifted, and this legislation would require them to have a dedicated teacher in class for that 1 student to advance. So the bill needs some work. There's also some questions about, it specifically calls out creating an advanced math track from like 5th grade up, but it's very vague. It references English and language arts, and then it's a question mark of, is it also including this track for all subjects? It's unclear. So there's some questions around that and some concerns there that were brought up in our preview. And I wanted to mention, Dr. Lang mentioned the civics test. We heard today that it doesn't exist yet. So even though it's supposed to be implemented, no one has seen it. No one knows where it's at in the creation process. So when it exists, I know we'll gladly figure out how we're going to distribute it, but right now, question. Yeah, I think there is a bill that would propose adding a second bond date. Instead of having it once a year, you could opt to do the June primary or the November, so giving districts a little more flexibility. So we'll see. That is also a study bill, which I've always known kind of what a study bill was, but today I learned that those are the ones that most often become law because they're chaired by a committee chair. So we'll see. But that's the main things we were told to focus on today, or that was brought up. There's also a behavior bill out there that has a lot of concerns. You'll hear a lot about giving teachers more power in the classroom to deal with behavior issues. The concern is that most of the proposed bill violates federal law. So we would be kind of stuck between Iowa law saying we have more options in dealing with behaviors in the classroom, but then it would violate several federal laws of how we're supposed to help those students, 504s, IEPs, things like that. So lots to watch, and I think I'm done for the rest of the meeting, maybe.
Thank you so much for that awesome summary of your conversations. And I am just curious if in your conversations, if anybody brought up anything about any hope for adjusting the special education weightings or if that is on anyone's radar. There's enough here that I'm guessing the answer is no.
It actually did,
It did.
but not in a way you're going to want. It
Okay.
came up in one of our conversations that we have to prioritize all of the things that we want to fix with education funding, and that with all of the things that we could tackle, special education was at the bottom of their list because we can make more impact with a larger SSA, trying to fix dropout prevention and getting everyone up to the 5% to make it more equitable, full preschool. So those things were mentioned as a higher priority for that particular individual than special education. So it came up in one conversation, and that was the conversation.
In the past, Laura, they've always pushed that off to the federal level. I don't know if they did that again today or if it was.
No, it was basically just, I'm familiar that everyone has a special education deficit. It is a concern, but there are other things that are more likely to get passed and addressed. So that's where I'm focusing my energy. It wasn't that it wasn't important. It was that this is the least likely of all of the funding things that's going to be dealt with, because it to fix Iowa weighting of special education funding, they have to break it and then rebuild it. And that's a lot harder to do than just writing a bill that says we're going to give more money to this pot or that pot. Or it would take a lot of time, and I'm not saying they're not willing to put in the time, but it's not a priority for the majority of people there, so it's probably not going to happen at this time.
And just to reiterate, those haven't been adjusted since the 70s. Is the last? Is that nodding? Do we have nodding?
I believe that is
Yes.
accurate.
Okay, and that is how we get reimbursed for fulfilling the legal obligations to our students. Okay,
And
thank
Barry,
you.
your reference, it's twofold. Yes, if we could get more federal funding, they have the option under the original IDEA Act to go up to 40%, and we get around 13 or 14%. But then, so that would help significantly. But then also at the state level, as Laura said, the weightings, if you're a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 student in special ed, those weightings come with different allocations of funds. But those weightings have not been adjusted since the 70s. So both levels could get tweaked and it would help, but there's not a bill for that.
We, as a district, made some strides this last year personally, so that's a positive. At least we've kind of righted the ship, but the support is still not there, right?
Yeah, we went from the $7 million deficit to a $4 million deficit, and we have to give John and his team kudos for, reconfiguring the Medicaid process and all of the things that you did in your department to make that work.
6 million to 4.8 million, but it's been a long day, Brett, I know.
Maybe we were estimating going up to 7, and you're right, 6 million down to 4-ish, 0.8. It went down. We were happy.
Thank you very much. John, you've had your mic on. I'm going to
Yeah,
let
just
you go
one
ahead.
thing on the weightings. So at the December SBRC meeting, their recommendation was to not change those weightings too. So it sounds like that comes as a recommendation from the Department of Ed to the school, to the SBRC, and then from there to the state potentially. So that outlook doesn't look great.
I'm sorry, you are on the other end, so I'm just going to repeat this just to make sure I heard it correctly. But the Iowa Department of Education said that we do not need to make any changes to the special education weightings, and this was a conversation that was held in the last month, too?
I will read what this says verbatim from the minutes of the SBRC agenda of December of 2025. It says, accepted the recommendation of the Director of the Department of Education relating to the special education weighting plan, which was to not change the weighting levels.
I appreciate you repeating that. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I have one other question. This document that you gave to us, and that it's so well put out in clear for us, where would we find this document?
I found it on Renee's desk.
It will be on the district website. I just wanted you to know that the document that we've been shared that Britt handed out, you all have access to it. For transparency's sake, there's nothing that you too are not able to read. You do need to go to the website, and there's all sorts of resources there. So just wanted to make sure we got that as well.
Our priorities have been on the board website since we passed them in November, but this pretty sheet, I don't know if it's on there already or not, but Renee was nice enough to put that together.
I'm getting both a nod and a yes in my ear. Yes, it is
Excellent.
there.
You put that together in the last 2 or 3 days.
It's outstanding. It's easy to read and it's outstanding. We're just encouraging people, we can look at this, but this is our document, not our document, our document. So please know that these legislative priorities are for all of us to lift up and carry forward. I want to thank you for this very important report and time of conversation. So thank you very much. It means a lot. We're going to go on to item number 508, our superintendent's report.
Thank you, President Lau Lancaster. Tonight in our district honors exhibit, we have a few items. A show choir highlight. Congratulations to the Linn-Mar show choir and directors for all of their hard work and great performances during Supernova. I'd also like to thank all of the wonderful volunteers that showed up for that event as well. We have an orchestra highlight. Congratulations to all the students that represented the district during the Northeast Iowa String Teachers Association Honor Orchestra. Community outreach, we mentioned this last time, but we have a little bit of an update. So congratulations to the students that organized and performed in the recent talent show hosted by our National Honor Society and Accountability, Leadership, and Opportunity Club, ALLO. The students raised $1,800, and that was donated to the Marion Cares program. So kudos goes out to the Oak Ridge Mental Health Matters Club as well for hosting a toiletry drive to support the Linn County Mental Health Access Center. I also want to acknowledge our new inductees into our Athletics Hall of Fame. On Friday evening, we inducted Brad Erickson, class of 1995 for baseball, Mary Beth Russell, class of 1999 in swimming, Marcus Page, class of 2012 in basketball, and Doug Stryker, former wrestling coach and current teacher for wrestling. We also wanted to make you aware that our district is listed on tomorrow's State School Budget Review Committee agenda. As a reminder, public school districts regularly submit information to the SBRC to request additional spending authority. When reviewing this year's submissions, the SBRC directed the Department of Ed to review English language learner cost as reported by our district and some others. At their request, we performed an internal review of our submissions and found that our district inadvertently coded 2 curriculum purchases to English language learner programming instead of coding them to the general curriculum budget. Tomorrow's hearing, our item on there is to adjust our SBRC filing by $162,516.80 to correct this coding error. We want you to know that we have adjusted our internal protocols to ensure that we have better support in place for the staff who are creating these requisitions in the future. We have published a couple of staff communications communications this past month. We put out a January newsletter and a family newsletter. A couple of facilities updates. With our performance hall, Winger is our vendor who is working on shop drawings for the orchestra shell, so that's to come here in a couple months. Our high school indoor activity center work, the design team has had multiple meetings with consultants to prepare for the pricing set issuance on January 22nd, which would have already occurred. They set development for issuance of that, and they're meeting with facilities to review mechanical access. As far as our facilities assessments that are being completed by OPN, they've completed on-site building assessments and 360 photography at Indian Creek, Wilkins, and Lynn Grove. They've partially completed assessments at Bowman Woods, and OPN continues to schedule assessments for next week to keep pace, wrapping up elementary buildings, and then moving on next to intermediate and middle schools. Upcoming events for student and staff. Next week, we will have the Performance Hall, ribbon cutting, and open house. That will begin at 4:30 with a short program, and will include some of our student performers. We're excited to have them as part of the event. We have high school conferences on February 5th, followed by a couple of early dismissals on February 24th and 26th for K-8 conferences. No school on February 27th for Professional Day. And with that, I'd take any questions.
I'm glad you covered the SBRC because we got questioned about that today, and I got a text last week from one of our representatives. They both, whenever a district shows up on the agenda, their respective representatives are notified, but they're not told what it's about. They're just like, your district is on the list. So that gave us an opportunity to explain exactly what you did, but I think it's an important clarification for people. It's not like you were bad, it's just adjustments. So.
Correct. Thank you.
I appreciate Amy's insight to that too, is that's what the purpose of an auditing organization is, and that it helps us realign. So thank you very much for noting that and simplifying the explanation for that. Is there any other further conversation? If not, I want to thank you for your report. At this time, we have no unfinished business, so item 600, we move on to item 700, our new business. I'm going to move on to 701, approval of Linn-Mar High School 2026-27 Program of Studies.
Make a motion to approve the Linn-Mar High School 2026-2027 Program of Studies as presented in Exhibit 701.1.
Second.
Then we have a motion by Britt, a second by Midhat. Is there any discussion?
Thank you, Chad and Jeff, for the presentation.
Presentation was outstanding. Thank you very much. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say yes.
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 Anybody saying no? Thanks, Evan. Any noes? All right, the motion has carried. We now have item number 702, our first reading of policy recommendations. That's you, Laura.
Oh, yep, I'm sorry. Sorry.
That's my fault. I was confused that Evan was like
The
echo.
voice.
I missed that part, so I was like, who was that?
Go ahead, Laura.
Yes, I'm sorry. Motion to approve the first reading of the policy recommendations as presented in Exhibit 702.1.
Second.
We have a motion by Laura and a second by Justin. Thank you. Is there any discussion? Barry, I'm going to have you turn your mic off because that's my cue.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. Any discussion? If not, ready? All those in favor say yes?
Yes.
Yes. Any opposed? The motion is carried. Thank you very much. Oh, Evan, thanks for making it lighthearted. All right, we have item number 703, approval to set a public hearing. May I have a motion, please?
I make a motion to set a public hearing for 5 p.m. on Monday, February 9th, 2026, in the boardroom of the Education Leadership Center regarding the plans and specifications for the Oak Ridge Middle School roof replacement project.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Barry and a second by Midhat. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say yes.
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 Any opposed? Yes. The motion has carried. Item number 704, approval to set public hearing.
Motion to set a public hearing for 5 p.m. on Monday, February 9th, 2026, in the boardroom of the Educational Leadership Center regarding the plans and specifications for the high school parking lot as related to the Indoor Activities Project Early Site Package.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Laura and a second by Barry. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, Evan, we're getting ready for vote. Ready? All those in favor say yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. We move on to items number 800, our consent agenda. May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve consent agenda as presented.
I have a motion and a second.
Second.
We have a motion by Midhat, a second by Laura. Any discussion?
I want to thank both Mrs. Azelborn and Mr. Gears. They were both my daughter's teachers, so I want to congratulate them on their retirement.
Outstanding. Thank you very much for your dedication to our district and to public schools. Do we have any other further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Any opposed? The consent agendas have been approved. We now move on to item number 900, board calendar and communications. I'm going to highlight a couple things. Hopefully, if you haven't already, make sure you get your calendars out on your phones. January 29th, we have a board visit to Wilkins Elementary at 8:30 in the morning. February 4th, Next week, we have a performance ribbon cutting ceremony at an open house at 4:30. February 9th, the Board of Directors has a meeting and an exempt session. February 12th, board visit to Bowman Woods Elementary at 11:30. February 13th, Board Directors, you're here again for a closed session at 10 o'clock. February 17th, you're here again for a closed session at 8 o'clock in the morning. February 17th, Finance Audit Committee at 12 o'clock. Yes.
That means we need to be done for the prior meeting by noon.
That's set.
You're, you guys are the ones on that team, and you feel comfortable about doing that.
Oh, yeah, we
Okay.
did that on purpose.
All right.
I
It's
can
one less
do-
day off of work. I
I
understand
can do
that.
the February 19th city council meeting if you'd
Appreciate
like.
that. Thank you very much. We're moving on to your 901s. We now have 19th. I'm getting there. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Britt. right.
I move to adjourn at 6:16 PM.
Bring
Second.
it. 6:16?
Yep.
Gotta like it. Okay, Barry, and who had the second, Laura?
I did.
Oh, Britt, bring it. So you came in and got it done. All those in favor? Oh, any discussion? All in favor, please say yes.
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 Motion has carried. Thank you. We're going to take a